Good morning. Today we are going to continue the previous lecture that was on liability. Okay, what is liability? According to Salmon, what is liability? Liability as a bond of necessity that exists between the wrongdoer and the remedy of the wrong. Means whatever the wrongdoer does, he is responsible for the injuries caused by him. So when the plaintiff files a case in the court, he has to prove that the wrongdoer, that is the defendant, has injured him, has affected him. So if the connection is proved between the wrongdoer and the wrong, that is the remedy, then the plaintiff will be eligible for getting remedy because the defendant is liable. Liability consists in those things which a wrongdoer must do or suffer. Okay, liability is a bond of necessity that exists between the wrongdoer and the remedy of the wrong. So the wrongdoer does something, isn't it? He does some wrong. That is, he does some act. The act may be positive, the act may be negative. So here, what is important? Act is important. Then what is an act? Act is physical fact, isn't it? Physical fact or physical facts. Physical facts which follow immediately upon the determination of will to effect them. Means I think to do something and I do it. Okay, means I first think, determination of will is there, and the determination of will is going to effect the thing. That thing is called as an act. So what is an act? Act are physical facts which follow immediately upon the determination of a will to effect them. Okay, we'll see the definition of Salmon. Salmon says that any event which is subject to control of human will, means we are having the self control, or we are having controlling power. Means anything, any event which is subject to control of human will, that is called as an act. I could have controlled it, but I didn't control. Means whatever I have done, that is an act. So act will have certain consequences, and the internal aspect also, that is the internal will, determination of a will is also there. So when we say act, what happens? Something is there in the mind, then the person does it and something happens, that is the consequences. Means for liability, what is required? Act is required, consequences are required, and aim is required. Therefore aim, consequences, act is equal to liability. Now this liability, the person will be liable, isn't it? The person will be responsible only when the act is being caused. So what Austin says? Austin says act is a bodily movement caused by the determination of will which produces an effect and result in certain consequences. I'll repeat again. Act is bodily movement caused by determination of will which produces an effect, means the consequences, and result in certain consequences. So according to his definition of act, there are three elements of act. There is some bodily, or you can say mental activity. Origin is there in some bodily activity or mental activity. Second, its circumstances in which it is being done, and its consequences. I'll repeat again the statement of Austin. Act is a bodily movement caused by determination of a will which produces an effect and result in certain consequences. So if these three things are there, we can say it is an act. The act is been, you can say, committed. The act is been done. Now when this act is, when we say the act is been done, act, an event. Salmon has stated act is an event and all, but actually event is different and act is different. Act needs some mental activity. Therefore act must be purposeful. There is some purpose in act, while in an event it is purposeless. So when a consequences may occur, but if it is purposeless, that will be called as an event. Eyring has explained it with an example. He says A jumped down for suicide is an act composed of muscular movement which is necessary for jumping. So when a person jumps, then that is an act, because why he is jumping? With an objective of suicide. Therefore it is an act. However, if A loses life by an accidental fall from the tower is an event, because there are same bodily movements are there, but mental activity, purpose is there. A jumps with an objective with an object of suicide, it is an act. And if A falls, both the consequences in both the circumstances are death of A. But here, what is there? Purpose is not there. Therefore, it will be called as an event. Okay. Now, this act can be divided into voluntary act and involuntary act. Voluntary act means when a person wills, when a person desires the consequences, that is called as a voluntary act. Involuntary act means what? Which is beyond our control. Absence of will is there and beyond our control. It happens. It means involuntary act. Voluntary means when a person with voluntarily causes injury to the other, means he knows the consequences and he wants the consequences. He is having the intention, he is having the knowledge of that consequences. Then that is called as a voluntary act with a free will. But involuntary act means absence of will. When the activities are beyond man's control, that is called as an involuntary act. Okay. Voluntary, involuntary. Next is intentional or unintentional. Intentional means what? When a person desires and he foresees certain things, means he wants the things to be done. A causes the death of B with an intention of causing death, means he has an intention that he should die. Therefore, he is doing those activities, he is doing stabbing him or something. Then that will be called as an intentional act. Unintentional means what? Not will. He does not will about that. He does not want it. That is called as unintentional. Means the actual result occurs, but those are not connected with him. Why? Because his will was not there. Okay. Other is what? Other kinds you can say internal and external act. Internal act means act of mind. When you think, that is an internal act. External act means what? When you do something. I pick up the pen. This is the muscular movement, the bodily movement are my external act. But I think to write. For writing, I pick up the pen. For thinking that I should write something, that is an internal act. And picking the pen is an external act. When I speak, it is an external act. But just when I think to speak, I am not speaking yet, then that is an internal act. Every external act is preceded by an internal act. But every internal act need not necessarily be having an external act. Means I may think to say something, but I may keep quiet. So just thinking, that is an internal act, internal positive act. But external consequences are not there. But when I speak according to my will, then that is an external act. Therefore, every external act is having an internal act. The internal or external act can be positive or can be negative. When you think, there is some mental activity, no? So it is a positive act. But when you fail to think, when you forget and all, when you forget to do something, that is what? Passivity. Means internal negative act. But according to the positive internal act, you speak. It is a external positive act. And when you decide not to speak, or you do something, or you can say, I think that I should help you. Okay. But if I just keep quiet, I don't do anything, means this is my negative act. Got it? External negative act, because I am thinking not to help you. See, we'll take an example. A man who seeing a drowning person thinks whether to rush for help or not. He is said to have committed internal positive act, because he is deciding whether to help or not. Therefore, he is thinking. As soon as he arrives at the decision to rush and forward help, the physical act which he does, that is called as an external positive act. But if he sits quiet, he does not stand up and go for help, that is external negative act. Means he thinks of helping somebody, that is an internal positive act. Accordingly, he rushes to help, that is an external positive act. But if he decides not to rush, not to help, that is an external negative act. Okay. These are the types of, you can say, act: voluntary act, involuntary act, intentional act, unintentional act, and internal act and external act. Now when an act is being done, there are certain consequences. These consequences may be actual consequences and anticipated consequences. Actual consequences means actually the thing has taken place, actually the harmful effect has taken place. That is called as actual consequences. And anticipated consequences means it would have happened. No, but the thing has not happened, na? Okay, but it would have happened. That law has considered this also as a wrongful act. We have seen in BNS, likely to cause harm is also a wrong, and the person is made punishable. Okay, actual means actually result in harmful consequences, while anticipated consequences means not leading to harmful consequences but which are nevertheless regarded as mischievous. The person will be liable there for anticipated consequences also. Okay, now these consequences again can be classified as actionable per se and not actionable per se. Actionable per se means without proof of actual damage. There is no need to prove about actual damage. You just file a case, you show that the thing has been done, these are the consequences. They will not check whether injury, whether damage is there or not to you, whether loss is there or not to you. Like a libel, the plaintiff files a case, he proves that libel has taken place, the defendant will be liable to pay compensation. The judge will not check here how much loss you have faced, because libel is actionable per se. Now the act can have a consequences which is called as not actionable per se. Not actionable per se means here in the court you have to show the actual loss, the actual damage, then only you will get compensation. Okay, so not actionable per se means here you have to prove the actual damage which has been caused. If you prove that, you will get compensation. So libel is actionable per se, while slander is not actionable per se. In slander you have to show that okay, this is defamation, this is slander, but such a damage has taken place, such loss has taken place. In negligence also you have to prove damage. If the person is negligent, he has to, the consequences must be like he should injure you, there should be some damage to you, actual damage to you, then only you will get compensation. There are many torts which are actionable per se, while the other are not actionable per se. Okay, this was a topic of act which was connected to liability, because in liability you have to discuss all these aspects relating to act, kinds of acts and definition of acts. Okay, bye bye. See you in the next video.